Joe Rogan, to be fair, and like this is fair, I haven't listened to his podcast, but his stand-up and his persona is just fucking shit.
Podcast and stand-up is totally different. His podcast is the most amazing thing ever. And being a podcaster, you should maybe listen to the premier podcast in the world.
The Bazinga Boys.
No. I mean...
Bazinga Boys are here to speak all of their thoughts on the Big Bang Theory. Rob has an opinion, Vorn has an opinion, Pete probably has one too. But most of all, Rob has an opinion.
Fuck you, Rob. I'm Pete. That's Vorn. This is Rob. We're the Bazinga Boys.
What are we here to do?
We're here to watch every episode of The Big Bang Theory, and based on the theme of the running joke in this episode, feel shitty about ourselves.
Oh,
Do you want to go more into that, Pete?
that might be lost on everyone, Rob, because it's a bit too early.
Yep.
We haven't even talked about the episode yet.
That's why I asked.
And we're not going to talk about the episode, because I have something to tell you guys before we get into this episode.
All right.
You don't sound a bit more excited about it.
Well, you ruined it by titling an MP3 "We Win" because I feel like I know what's coming. Oh,
No, it's nothing to do with that. You're jumping to conclusions. Don't jump to conclusions.
play the "Don't Jump to Conclusions" theme.
No, it's not even that.
Oh.
You're jumping to conclusions again. Guys, 2 episodes ago, we talked about how the jokes were just references. And we said, hey, we should make a giant reference board. So I made a giant reference board. It's the Bazinga Boys Reference-o-matic 3420 Blaze It beta. And so all it's got on here is just a bunch of references to nerd TV shows and movies. It's like Doctor Who, Dragon Ball Z,
This is perfect.
Twilight Imperium, all that kind of nerdy bullshit.
I love it.
And so what's going to happen throughout the episode today is I've also got this.
Sticky ball? Oh, an orange.
an
Orange. You're coming through real blurry on this ADSL connection.
You're drunk. So what's going to happen is throughout the episode, I'm just going to throw this orange at the board.
Sweet.
And whatever show or nerd reference it hits, I'm just going to make a nerd reference for it.
So you have to throw it pretty hard so it makes an impact so you can see where it lands.
Well, yeah, I'll just get the sound now. Oh no, there's fucking orange juice all over the table.
That's such a good soundbite. Just use that every time. The same one where it's like, oh no, there's orange juice all over the table. As if you didn't learn the first 16 times.
Well, why don't we actually do one now? See what happens. Pete, you have to stop worrying. You worry too much. You're like Xena, warrior princess. Guys, I got a new segment. It's called Don't Jump to Conclusions.
Don't jump to conclusions. You might think Vorn has AIDS because he's covered in lesions. Don't jump to conclusions. It's hard to rhyme the word conclusion.
That's pretty good. That sounds like Tomahawk.
Oh my god.
So at the start of the last week's episode, Pete accused me of cultural appropriation.
Not you. The voiceover artist.
Well, you jumped to a conclusion. You said a lovely artist guest who went out of her way to make some vocal drops for us, some sexy vocal drops. Turns out Pete was jumping to conclusions.
Which Vorn facilitated this cultural appropriation.
Oh yeah, but I didn't do anything. It was Pete was in the wrong, and he should have just waited it out and listened and learnt more before he started throwing accusations out.
For people who haven't listened to the previous episode, Vorn went on to Fiverr to get some sexy voiceovers. But I didn't know she was Brazilian cross Japanese cross Italian. That's quite an impressive.
But if you hadn't have jumped to the conclusion, you would have been able to learn that before throwing out accusations of cultural appropriation. And that's why I feel like I need to teach you a lesson, not to jump to conclusions. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm just going to say some statements just to, I don't know, teach you a lesson.
I'm ready to learn.
The age of consent should be 3 years old. Than it currently is. I think all homeless people should be shot. A warm smile as you give them some spare change. all Jewish people should be sentenced to death.
And that's Vaughn's segment. Anyway, next segment, Rob, you got...
Cab to Cutie concerts if they're a fan of that band.
Death Cab 4 Cutie, but all right, keep going.
Women who have contraceptive implants in their arms are basically dogs.
Look at Pete. Pete's dancing to avoid this one.
I'm not sure if Vaughn's feed's frozen or if he's just become one of those
Being a dick.
statues in the mall.
Because I want to cuddle them. Guys, let's talk about the episode. What happened in this episode, Pete?
Woo! Alright, so we just watched episode 22 of season 2, The Classified Materials Turbulence. In this one, Howard builds a space toilet for NASA or something, and then when it's already in space, he realizes that it won't work and it's going to just shoot shit everywhere. And then also Stuart from the comic book store comes back and he dates Penny, and then they go on a date and he gets lucky, but then Penny says, "Leonard," in the throes of passion.
And referencing my intro to what our podcast is about, every opportunity they could, they made a poo joke.
This episode was just full of toilet and dirty humor.
Just
I
like
mean-
a clogged toilet, am I right? Whoa.
It was a really shitty episode.
Oh, God. Hold on, guys. That's a tasty abortion. The Bazinga Boys is on the board. But what I was saying was, did you notice that this episode was just full of crass humor? And we don't mind the occasional racy joke, but I think some of the stuff was even too racy for us. And so our listeners get an idea, I've got some clips from the episode.
Have you been your sperm again?
Smell that? That's the smell of
What if we use this 2-inch to read? No good. I mean, it might work for the Japanese and the Americans, but have you seen the size of the Russians?
During the kissing? What'd you do? In her mouth? I did that to a girl once.
It was disgusting. I didn't even want to play the actual things that
Fucking
they
hell.
said because
That's actually hilarious.
Literally made the show funny by actually taking stuff out of it as opposed to adding to it.
They could still keep that 4 p.m. time slot on UK TV.
that's a fucking old reference.
Going back to an episode where they didn't show a whole scene because it referenced cocaine and they couldn't air it at their normal time slot of 4 p.m. on Channel 4 or some UK TV or whatever. I don't know. We don't have any listeners in the UK, so it doesn't matter. Shout out to Sweden, though.
We got one.
Pete, that was a crappy reference. Okay.
Throw the orange.
Let me save it. Battlestar Galactica. What do you guys have thoughts about the episode?
This was kind of a nothing episode. This one just annoyed me. It was just the constant wink wink. I'm about to make a toilet humor joke was just got so old so quickly. I did find myself looking. I watched this one in normal time, and I found myself looking at the time of how long was left more often than I have recently.
Yeah, it was fucked. I was on the upswing from the last episode. I was like, that was the most watchable episode for me from this whole season.
Really?
Yeah, the
last week or
the
this
last
week?
one we did, and then I went into this one with that renewed positivity. Is this show actually going to get better? And then they just dashed all hope that I had. Give us a reference. Give us a reference, Vaughn.
To agree with you, Rob. Oh, shit. That episode felt about as long as the 12-hour-long board game Twilight Imperium.
Oh, that was a poopy reference, Vaughn.
Things I noted from the episode was Penny, again, is the best. She is the most redeeming character in the show, I feel. While Glasses Man is a lying cunt, she goes out of her way to check if he's okay with things. And when she does try to move on, he's a jealous little bitch. And when she asks him about it, he lies to her. And she's always supportive of him. And it's the same thing over and over. I can't wait till they just start fucking.
Do you know what? I'm seeing a pattern though, because Penny's always dated fuckholes, like total jerkwads. but they've just happened to be attractive, quote unquote attractive men.
Yes.
Now she's still following that same trait, by the last bit of this episode that we were talking about before, where Stuart from the comic book store goes on a date with her, it's getting hot and heavy, and then Penny calls out Leonard's name, Glasses Man. So she's going back down the same rabbit hole, falling for fuckheads, falling for total cucks of dudes, and it's horrible.
The other pattern I'm noticing is that Penny becomes interested in Leonard on every second last episode of a season.
Yeah.
And
I can't wait for season 3 and see what happens.
What's
there.
the bet that they date next episode and then break up episode 1, season 3? The cycle continues.
Up until they get married, and then there's the divorce episodes.
Fuck, dude! I forget you've gone into the future and seen all these.
Yeah, you fast forwarded yourself into the future. Have some thoughts for me and Pete, Rob.
Yeah. I will say about Penny, though, when she walked in and saw the toilet...
How are all our mixed race kids in the future, Rob? Did you bring me back that sports almanac?
I will say that when Penny...
Good reference, Pete.
This one's just to annoy Vorn. I will say that when Penny walked in and saw the toilet, she did look a little flushed. Okay.
Can we...
Okay, I gotta save this.
Can we...
I want that joke to be cancelled faster than they cancelled the cult hit series Firefly.
I love Firefly.
I'm glad they cancelled it. Did you notice in the episode that they also kept doing this weird high five, but it wasn't a high five?
That's my nitpick.
Pete's Nitpicks.
All right, boys, can you open up the video that I sent you? Look at these cunts.
I thought it was just gonna be the clip, and I was like, "Hey, Pete, we watched the episode. I don't need to see the clip again." Oh, great commentary. We should do a director's commentary of just you, just going like, "Oh, look at this fucking cunts."
So can you then open the JPEG finger bang, please? So this is my immediate reaction.
Oh, Jesus Christ! It's a Google image search of ISIS finger gesture.
So I'm bringing back Vaughn's The Big Bang Theory, and I'm moving away from Nazis, and I'm moving more towards the time appropriate ISIS. This episode came out in 2009. ISIS started throwing this shit around a couple of years later, so I feel like this is where they got the idea from.
Some of them just talking and pointing. And why do you have another tab open up the top there? It's a Google search that says how to join ISIS. And another one that says how to spread ISIS propaganda. Pete, what are you doing?
I like that you avoided the Vaughn and Rob deepfake spawn tab link, but you focused on the ISIS hand gesture one. That's great. Open fuck cops. So Bedfordshire police decided to be like, hey, Islamophobia is bad. And this is the logo they came up with the ISIS finger as representing the I in Islamophobia Awareness Month. They took it down because they realized that someone probably made it as a meme. But it was a bit too late, and they promoted it everywhere anyway. So anyway, I used to live in Bedfordshire for a wee 6 months. We worked out of a place called Barmy Army that's now closed. Let's give it a reference. It got cancelled. Sorry, that's more appropriate.
Mate, that's a bit of a leap. A quantum leap.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's basically just someone holding their finger up. If someone scores a goal in soccer, it's the exact same hand gesture. Or if you're pointing to a bird or telling someone off.
If someone gets out in cricket.
Yeah, it's that. Okay, there we go. That's a way easier way to do it. That I thought, because they keep touching fingers, it's sort of like an ET touch docking symbol. So I think we should adopt this. And you've thrown it the completely other way. Well, let's chuck this to the listeners. Either you can think that it's an ISIS thing, or we can adopt it, and this sort of fingered ET touching docking symbol can be, because I get it. It's probably embarrassing to let anyone know that you listen to this shitty podcast. But if you see someone out there and you think, hey, maybe they're a Bazinga Boy fan, the way to, the secret handshake. The secret handshake is this docking symbol where you just touch the tips of your index fingers together, and then at the same time you make a little squelch sound. So that is going to be the official Bazinga Boys handshake.
The difference is the ISIS people, they just throw the finger gesture up, whereas ours is touching the fingers.
Let's get a reference. Oh, jeez. The only Klingon I understand is the glad rap type.
It's time for Vorn versus the DVD jacket.
Oh no, I've got one more thing about the episode.
Okay.
I want you guys to play a little role play game with me. Just imagine you're NASA. You need a very important system, the plumbing. Waste disposal is a huge thing. You need it for the International Space Station. And this guy walks in. I'm going to send you a photo. This guy walks in, and you decide, that's the guy for the job? The guy wearing these outfits? What is he wearing, just for the listeners there, by the way?
He's wearing layer upon layer of dicky and skivvies with vests and green poo-coloured sweaters, swipes, Batman buckles, alien pins.
And so my question to you is, if he walked in, would you give him the job, like an important job like that?
Of course
It would
not.
depend on his credentials.
He looks like a homeless guy who stole from the vintage store dumpster. Just a mismatch of fucking weird shit.
But Vorn-
I wouldn't trust that guy with my paper route if I needed
Vorn,
doing.
would you have got any job if people judged you on how you look?
Yes, because I did get a job. I look like a big pile of shit, but I look better than him. He look like one of those outfits. He looks like a grandma's couch cushion. He's brown and striped. What the fuck is... If I needed plumbing done on an International Space Station and this guy walked in for the interview, I'd fire whoever the lady was who approved him for the interview after she was done giving a sexual assault charge to the police.
It's kind that you'd let her report him first.
Oh, Jesus.
It's kind of
Did either of you laugh at the episode?
I didn't laugh. Like I said, I
No.
was disappointed. I was disappointed with this episode. I was like,
Disappointed.
I was
how,
like,
how does this show even still let you down?
like I mentioned, like last episode was totally watchable. I gave it a pass. Didn't laugh at it, but I was like, cool, this is a thing that I could watch.
Rob, did you laugh?
No, I didn't laugh.
And neither did I. Great. Okay, this time now, finally, for Vorn versus the DVD jacket. After this reference. Oh. This segment is rarer than the unaltered editions from the first trilogy of the Star Wars saga on Laserdisc.
Oh man, actually, this is a PSA. If anyone has that, I will buy it off you.
Well, one of our 3 listeners, get in contact.
It's time for Vornverse, the DVD jacket.
Oh, I get it. People poo in space.
So make 500 fucking jokes about it.
Good work.
Yep.
Angry boy.
That was it.
So, because of my victory last week...
You nailed it, mate. I was so impressed.
Oh, I fucking did so good. Pete has upped the challenge, and instead of giving me the first letter of every word, he's now giving me emojis in place of certain words to make it a bit harder. So this week, I've got... I don't know. It's just a bunch of emojis with some words in between.
It was the theme was 2009 emojis started becoming a thing. People were doing like clown hat, curly hair, smiley face. Anyway, what did I give you?
Poop emoji, squirt emoji, speaker emoji. I'm not going to go through and tell it. I'm just going to give you my guess. So, Vorn versus the DVD jacket. That shit splash sound you hear is Howard's level of education. His flag is now on the moon of every spaceman on a toilet. The color of failure is not something that you can wash out. How was I?
It's definitely funnier if you've seen the emojis.
I think what we'll do is we'll release the emojis prior to this episode coming out, and we'll let people guess what the DVD jacket is. So I think that's good.
That's
fun.
good.
That's our fun interactive. That's our Bandersnatch for this season.
Hey, we already did. We did Bandersnatch before Bandersnatch. Netflix ripped us off. Do you guys have any segments?
Do you want to hear the real one?
Close.
Oh, yeah, fuck.
Close enough.
I thought I got it right again.
You just left the room. You're just like, where's your gold medal? Where's the gold medal?
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 22, the classified materials turbulence, the DVD jacket, the official thing that they printed on this bastard. That flashing sound you hear is Howard's career. His International Space Station toilet design is a washout.
Oh, it's a train station. That was clever for station. Yeah. Oh, and the poop and the squirt emoji was the flush. Okay, I see what you're trying to do there.
Cool.
Okay, well, we'll see you next week. Do you guys have any bits?
I do. This is a segment called "Can Vorn and Pete do better than the guys I found on the interneta?" All right, so let's pull up.
What do you like?
Can Vorn and Pete do better than the guys I found on the internet?
Probably not.
I feel like we're...
That's the same theme as before. You used the same thing twice.
It's running the same theme in the same episode. It would be cheating if I moved it later on. Anyway, so this is a segment where I set a challenge for you guys for next week. Okay? So for a show that's as popular as The Big Bang Theory, there's not many people online doing good impersonations of the characters. In fact, if you played Sheldon 1, you'll find that this is the best I could find.
Hello. By clicking on this video, you've settled on the fact that your compulsion for leisure entertainment has directed you towards
This
my
is like if
intellectual musings of
Sheldon had a
superior
brother
scholarly affluence.
and his
I'm
brother
glad you could
occasionally
make it.
saw him, but then lived on the other side of the country.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good, to be honest. I would have picked that without reference.
He had the is the infliction the right word?
He's
I
got the
don't fucking
infliction,
know.
right?
Yeah.
But the tone is too deep, but that's fine.
It's affliction.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's autism, you
Yeah.
idiot.
For a show that is as popular as this, it just lacks people impersonating the characters. Pull up Sheldon 2. These are put up as impersonations.
Anyway, in 1935, Erwin Schrödinger, in an attempt to explain the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum physics, he proposed an experiment.
So it's just someone reading the script, like it's not an
Quantum
impersonation.
fixins.
Okay, right? And then we
You want
have
some quantum fixins with your chicken?
all right. And then Sheldon 3, here's another one. This is a guy who just posts a bunch of different impersonations. He's actually got a couple of decent ones on there, but then there's this one, which is just weird.
Penny. Penny, Sheldon, Penny, Sheldon, Penny, Sheldon, Penny, Sheldon, Penny.
That's him knocking on the door, by the way.
Penny,
That's the best
Sheldon.
one.
Okay, wait, to be fair, for a 3-year-old, that's pretty
That
good.
was fucking awesome. That one.
Okay,
I loved
so
it.
like we're not here to laugh at people. I'm just saying that in my opinion, these
we
aren't very good impersonations. And I feel like you guys can do better. So next week, I want you to come to the table with a recorded. I'll do it with you guys as well. We're gonna record our own impersonations
Love it.
of a character from The Big Bang Theory, but we all have to agree it's gonna be the same one. Doesn't have to be Sheldon.
Let's just do all of them. Let's just do every single main character.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm with that.
Why not?
Okay.
I love it. I'm in. Are you in, Vaughn?
Let me get a reference. Yes.
Cool. Okay, so we're doing all the main characters.
Yes.
This is gonna be so racist.
No, it's not. So I don't know about you. I'm not going to be going the racist route. You do whatever you feel is best.
The bar has not been set high.
Exactly. Guys, I've got an update, and it's very fitting that we're coming to the end of this season. Does either of you want to explain the Full Metal Bazinga competition?
We had Colin on right at the beginning of this season. Colin from Full Metal Bazinga. Love that show. All 3 minutes of it.
What's your favorite episode?
Well, the 3 minutes of the previous one that he joined us on. Anyway, Colin was a fucking charming gentleman. Love that guy to bits. Wish him all the best in life. So we had a challenge of getting someone that had actual screen time on The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay. I don't like your use of the word we. What did you do towards the cause, Pete?
Anyway, so Vaughn and occasionally Rob talked about it. We're really trying to get someone that had actually had screen time on The Big Bang Theory to actually come in our podcast. And that was the challenge we had with the Full Metal Bazinga boys. We were up against them. They were trying to get someone. They got a writer on, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, they got a writer on, but no one on screen. And our plan was kind of just to find an extra or a very small name actor to be our person, because that's the only person who would realistically do it. But that was our issue. We weren't shooting big enough, and we weren't going for big enough things. So earlier in the week, I went to Sydney for a meeting, and I was in the city doing some shit, and I ran into someone from the main fucking cast of Big Bang Theory. Do you want to have a guess who?
Stuart.
The main cast. Are we talking the main 5 or?
I don't want to spoil it, but just take a guess.
Well, out of everybody we've seen, I hope it's Carol Ann Susie, and she came back from the fucking dead to haunt you.
Jesus Christ.
He just saw a pile of ashes on the floor.
Here is us winning the competition.
All right, you fooled us once, Vorn.
Okay, thank you. Can you quickly please state your name? And what show do you officially endorse? Thank you so much!
Well, that's annoying.
I was actually getting hyped. On that note,
I hadn't listened to it beforehand. I thought, we still won. I just don't have the proof.
on that note, I've decided that I'm gonna do my hardest, do my darndest even, to approach Sweatpants Guy, the Captain Sweatpants.
Okay.
He's appeared twice in this season. For people that haven't watched The Big Bang Theory, there's just a gentleman that stands at the back of the comic book shop with grey sweatpants that he has a Captain America shirt tucked into, and he's a little bit overweight.
I don't know why you do that. We just won the competition. What's the point?
I have a new segment.
Oh, what is it?
It's called 10 Seconds of Pete Moaning.
10 seconds of Pete moaning, 10 seconds of Pete moaning, 10 seconds of Pete moaning, yeah.
Welcome to 10 Seconds of Pete Moaning.
That was Pete moaning, that was Pete moaning, that was Pete moaning, yeah.
And that was 10 Seconds of Pete Moaning.
You fucking... I'll tell you what, that wasn't over 9,000. Like in Dragon Ball Z.
That was quite good.
So, before we leave today, what is next week, boys?
Next week is the final episode of Season 2.
Oh, I am fucking hyped for this because I've got a lot of things planned. It's going to be a very big episode with our competition. I'm going to be chucking out a survey so you guys can give your thoughts on the season we just did and what should come in the future. Sort of a census, the Bazinga Boys census.
Yeah.
What have you guys got planned, Pete?
I'm going to be doing a live stream, so we haven't confirmed the date yet, so through the magic of editing, we will be broadcasting live on
Friday the 22nd of March at 9:30 p.m. Perth time.
I'm going to be watching every single one of those DVDs I've collected. So
What was the count at the end?
for those that aren't familiar, I've been collecting The Big Bang Theory on 4-disc DVD, the complete second season. I've got up to a total of 10 copies of it. So I'm going to basically be live streaming myself watching all 10 copies at once. And I'd love it if you, the listeners, would like to join in, jump in with me. We'll provide a link to a totally legal site that will stream it.
I was going to say, if you want to come in and copyright strike us and get us in some legal trouble, join us on the live stream.
There'll be some fun giveaways and some interactive stuff along the way as well.
Whoa. Don't say giveaways and think that I'm giving away one of those t-shirt folders.
I'm giving away one of the 9. I'm giving 9 copies of this DVD box set away. It'll be signed. You'll get some stickers with it.
We want people to come and watch, don't drive them away.
Okay. Give me a postal address so I can send you things that you can then recycle responsibly.
If you gave me an option, hey, do you want to open up your mailbox and find a Big Bang Theory 2 DVD or Anthrax, I'd have to think about it.
I think next week's episode is going to be huge for reasons that some of you may or may not know about.
What?
Well, it's the namesake of our podcast may be...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fuck, I was actually wondering about
What's
that
this?
because we haven't had
I'm lost.
Bazinga. The word Bazinga hasn't been said, and I thought it was in season 2, so we have one episode left.
A little bird tells me it's coming up.
I've completely forgotten about it.
We culturally appropriated the word,
Mm-hmm.
and you forgot that it's not really our word; it's their word.
We'll take the word back.
I've been Pete.
I've been
Putting my finger up like this to the camera, not to do with ISIS, but to touch fingers with my boys. Cool. Hey folks, it's Pete from the Bazinga Boys. Do you know what's lousy? Terrorism and extremists. The only things that I like that are extreme are Doritos, strip clubs, and cracking eggs on skulls. Do you know what else I like? Concurrently watching 10 copies of Season 2 finale of The Big Bang Theory on DVD. So why not join me as I live stream and face my fears this Friday, 22nd of March. 9:30 p.m. here in Perth, 11:30 p.m. in Brisbane, 6:30 a.m. Sacramento, California, 9:30 a.m. for our New York listeners, and 2:30 p.m. for our one Swedish listener hailing from Blekinge. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It'll feature me trapped by a fortress of screens, having a good time while not having a good time. Goodbye. Give us a reference, cunt.
Oh, fuck. Just like in...
Leaving Neverland. Featuring Michael Jackson.
Just like in Lord of the Rings. You shall not pass. How's that for an impression?
That's good.
The only doctor I go to is Doctor Who.
Record the rest of them.
Yeah, what else do I have here? You're annoying as Neil deGrasse Tyson. Pete's laugh is as calming as a stormy night spent painting Warhammer 40k figurines.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
This costs more than a Magic the Gathering addiction. This segment is really dragging. Dungeon and Dragon.